What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardwar this morning, joined by Senior Writer Sam Rutherford. Hey, Sam.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, going well. And also our podcast producer, Ben Ellman. Hey, Ben.
Hello, everybody. I missed you. I hope you missed us.
I missed the audience. Yeah, I've been away for a few weeks. I know Sholin and Matt did an episode, so that was great. That's audio only. So if you're only watching the live streams, be sure to subscribe to the actual feed and you'll see all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's good to see everybody who is here in the chat. I'm not surprised by the first comment in the chat because this is news about politics. Deeper
We
Nana,
got Mark Dell. Mark Dell is
yeah,
like, "Oh my God, is this real life?" Yes,
we're back.
we're back from summer break. What did you do on your summer vacation, Devindra?
I drove to Savannah, Georgia, with my family, which is like the closest area away from Atlanta that has nice beaches and nice seafood. So that's where we usually get away. What did you all get up to while I was out?
So I don't know if I've
Hmm.
talked about this on stream. This is just slightly embarrassing, only
Okay.
because there are some people who are always going to make fun of you if you're just trying to have like good, clean fun. But
Okay.
recently, I've taken up just like I got a couple of bubble wands from Walgreens.
The big ones.
and
Yeah.
well, not like the huge ones, but
Mhm.
like, they're about this long.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so I've just been walking around in public places like Prospect Park. Sometimes I go to the beach and like just blowing bubbles, and I cannot tell you how much people love it.
People
Like,
bubbles.
it is so much fun to see people from like every background, every walk of life see a bubble go by, and they become like 10 years younger.
How are bubbles real? Kids love bubbles. Everybody loves
Kids
bubbles.
I was
love
gonna say,
bubbles, dog love bubbles, like it's
Devindra,
great.
I feel like I forgot about bubbles for like 25 years of my
That's
life,
what I'm
and then
talking about.
and then I had kids, and I'm like, oh my god, bubbles are like awesome. Yeah, no,
And
yeah,
kids
I totally
bubble
get it.
pops are fun. And you learn the technique. You learn the like best technique to keep a big bubble. Yeah, it's good stuff. Bubbles.
Yeah, so like
What's
it's
hot?
only embarrassing because some people are like, "Oh, well, you're that's doing kid stuff." Well, I'm sorry. The rest of the world is so grim. Let me have something,
Yeah.
please.
Normally, it's mainly just parents and people with small children in their lives that get to play with bubbles. So this is great. This is great. Sam, have you guys been doing anything during the warm months?
No, just taking the kids to the splash pads, trying to stay cool. Was helping out at our local elementary school, watering the garden for a week during the
Oh,
summer, so that
nice.
was fun. But yeah, just normal kind of summer stuff, trying to keep the kids
Just
busy.
chilling. Well, we're getting right back into the swing of things, folks. There's actually not much news happening, but we do have the Big Apple thing. So I do want to talk about that. Apple announcing that's committing another $100 billion to U.S. manufacturing, and sort of the gross, gross thing Tim Cook did to say, "Please like me, President Trump." So we'll talk about all that
Tim
during the
Apple.
episode. Yeah, Tim Apple. Tim Apple, the low point of his CEO career, I think, because all this is just so disgusting. So we've got some news, folks. We also want to do some Q&A in this episode. So if you're in the chat, think of some questions, bank some questions, put them in the chat. Ben will be keeping an eye out. I've gotten some questions about Windows 10. What do you do if you're still running Windows 10? So I'll start off with a conversation about that. And yeah, it's good to be back. Good to see chat. Good to have a live audience.
Mark
Uh,
Dell says,
yeah,
"Why no bubbles on camera?" And it's because in
bad
front of me
perception.
sits about like $7,000, maybe more,
Yeah,
of computer gear,
no bubbles in
and
the
this
house.
is my whole ass livelihood. So yeah, no, please don't make me do bubbles at the
The
desk.
general rule of parents is no bubbles in the house because they look nice, but they get everywhere and they can
Yep.
be bad if they hit electronics. So, and certainly camera sensors, you don't want like random splashes of water going to those things. But anyway, thank you for joining us, folks. We'll certainly be gearing up for like more stuff in the next few weeks too, because like we're a month away from the next iPhone. We're a month away from like the beginning of fall tech hell season. The next Google Big Pixel event, we're certainly gearing up for as well. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Summer's winding down. Sit tight. All right, you
And
guys ready?
send us your
Send
questions.
us your questions.
Get us some good things. I have some questions of my own, but like I'm less important than chat. Come on.
And if you don't think of a question in time for this live session, send us an email, podcast@engadget.com. Seriously, if you just have like a thought in your head You can voice memo it, like record a voice memo and send it to us, or send us a quick email or something. I'd love more questions, and a lot of that stuff can get into Ask Engadget as well. So we'll do all that.
Yeah, especially if it's like a product recommendation, like give us a little time to like, research your questions, see, if you're trying to figure out which TV, laptop, etc. is right for you.
Some good prompts. What tech is making you happy? What tech is making you sad? And just give us some Jack Handy thoughts about your life in your life right now and how gadgets are affecting them. Anything is relevant, really. Anything can work. All right, ready to go?
Yeah, just 1 minute. Let me
Mhm.
take a note. All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Oh yeah, let's sync up. So everybody, if you've been in the chat, you know what's happening. If you haven't been in the chat, man, you're a little bit confused now, but I promise it'll make sense in a minute. So I'm going to count down from 3. At the end of 3, we're all going to make a sound. If you want to put a clap emoji or a snap emoji in the chat, please go and do that. So counting down from 3, 2, 1, and some silence. While we're being quiet, everybody on stream, if you can hear this, just thumbs up the stream so other people can find us. Okay, quiet time over. Let's get into talking about Apple and $100 billion.
All this stuff. All this stuff. Mark Dell, thank you for putting in a question. He's #1 king in the chat. I don't know. I still don't know how the like YouTube awards things work in chat. Is it just
They've just
participating?
recently started doing that, and
Yeah.
I think that they're pushing for people to do game streams.
Engagement.
Yeah, a lot more. So
If anybody has experience with Riverside FM, let me know as well, because right now we're using Video Ninja, which is an open source tool to like broadcast this, and it goes through OBS on my computer. But hey, other people want to do streams, so if we did Riverside, anybody in Gadget can do a stream.
we've got a new chatter. The Muad'Dib is now in chat as it was written.
As it was
Apparently the
written.
spice is flowing, so he's got some
Mhm.
time to come visit us.
All right, you guys ready? Let's go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardawar. This week I'm joined by Senior Writer Sam Rutherford. Hey, Sam.
Hey, how's it going?
Also joining us is podcast producer Ben Ellman. Hey, Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, we're back. A bit of a summer break, certainly for our live stream, but we're gearing up for more news that's going to be happening throughout this month and certainly next month. The new iPhone's coming. Like we all know this stuff is happening. This week, though, I think the biggest news is Apple announcing that it's investing another $100 billion in U.S. manufacturing. That's on top of the $500 billion they already announced back in February. And all of this seems like it's meant to appease the Trump administration and Trump himself, and also hopefully avoid like the whole tariff mess too. So we'll be diving into that whole news, a bunch of other like random bits too, and we'll be taking some reader questions and listener questions. So stay tuned for all of that. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes and drop us an email at podcastinggadget.com. I'd love to see more questions. We'd love to like do more of these Q&A segments. And also your questions can be used for Ask Engadget, which is like a big section on the site itself too. So that's something we could be writing up and answering your questions there. Podcast at Engadget.com. So the big news or semi-big news, because we were trying to put this show together and there's really honestly just like little bits of things happening. But it is Apple announcing that it's committing another $100 billion, to U.S. manufacturing. We have the story written up at Engadget, and basically they're committing to stuff that we already know that Apple's doing. Basically more Corning hardware. Kind of an interesting part of that too is that they announced that they're essentially working with Samsung for something as well, potentially building image sensors in Texas. So that news came out as well. Up till now, Apple's been using Sony sensors, right, Sam, for their cameras?
I believe so. Yeah.
So that's kind of going to be a potentially big change. But really, this is all optics. I feel like all this is optics. We have a really extensive piece on it here, and the idea of Apple like building more stuff in the U.S. That's not entirely too surprising. It partially does seem driven by the whole chaotic Trump tariff stuff. After this was all announced, Trump announced that he would be, I don't know, it just kind of offhanded said that electronics or things with using chips would be tariffed at 100%. And by doing this dog and pony show, Apple will hopefully avoid it. The grossest part of this, I think, was towards the end of the ceremony where Tim Cook presented Donald Trump with a plaque that was made in America, one of a kind plaque using Corning glass. They're the ones who make Gorilla Glass, and also a 24 karat solid gold base. So in the first Trump administration, Apple did similar things. It said like, yeah, we're going to be committing more to US manufacturing. That made Trump look good. And now they're just adding money to that overall statement, but also gifting him a gold gift. And to me, that just seems absolutely gross. To me, this feels like the low point of Tim Cook's CEO career, and probably something we'll, refer back to whenever we think back of this crazy era and the history of Apple too. But Sam, what did you think about when you saw all of this happening?
I mean, you call it a plaque. I kind of call it like a participation trophy. I
Yeah,
mean, he's
basically.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like Trump's a ferret. He likes shiny things, and so
He likes gold.
Apple
Yeah.
came together and they took some materials that they work with and they made him a shiny thing and they gave him a gift, and then the ferret can go play with his little bauble. This is like the silliest thing ever because, Apple is an American company. For them, they're like, oh, let's bend over backwards and invest $100 billion in the country that we already our headquarters in have been, for the entire existence of the company. This is like, oh, we're gonna invest more in the partners that we already work with. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is like, it's like people are acting like Trump put a bunch of pressure on Apple to do the stuff that they were gonna do anyways. It's like, oh, okay, great. Um,
It feels like it's Apple responding to the climate, right? And part of that response is, oh my God, if we get tariffed, a whole ton, we'll have to raise prices. That will hurt sales. That will make stock go down. And I'm sure the board and investors would not want that to happen. So,
For sure. I mean, this is definitely like, Apple appeasing it to get out from under the boot
mhm,
of Trump's, tariff spending spree. And okay, fine. It's just,
mhm.
it like you said, it feels a little weaselly, it feels a little gross, and you wish you didn't have to give the president of the United States a participation trophy so that he would stop bothering you.
It feels incredibly gross. Also reminds me of the thing that happened. I feel like we're not talking enough about of when Trump stole that Club World Cup trophy, right? Like
Yeah,
was that an event and just took because it was gold. He just took it, and they're like, what are you doing? You were just
and
looking at
then
that."
like a lot of outlets or media outlets had to Photoshop him out of the photos because he wouldn't even leave the soccer team. He was in the
Yeah.
photos and he was standing there while the soccer team who had actually played the game and won the trophy was sitting there trying to celebrate. It's all very silly. The one
He just took the trophy. Like he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
took it.
And
That
the one thing that's
yeah.
interesting is that like as far as Apple's concerned, I think this happened like within the last week or two, is that Tim Cook has now been CEO of Apple longer than Steve Jobs was ever CEO of Apple, including his reign as interim before he was like officially made CEO. And
Mhm.
so it's like in a lot of ways, it's like this is Tim Cook's Apple now, and this is Tim Cook's company, and so it's really like you know obviously as a CEO you have to deal with the circumstances of the current regime and all that stuff, but it's really interesting to see how Apple has evolved over the years, especially under as leadership has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think we're seeing all the companies basically. Sorry, there's music playing that shouldn't be playing. All the companies in America are basically responding to like the state of affairs right now. They're all trying to figure out how to survive. So I don't think it's like on Apple personally to be like, oh my God, this makes them the worst. I think partially that title will probably go to Microsoft because there was a recent Guardian story about how Azure is essentially powering a lot of these surveillance and I don't know, wartime planning from Israel going into Gaza and going into Palestine. So that to me seems absolutely gross. This is just bowing down to the king. It feels like that feels like the ultimate thing. But it's not just Apple. it is the overall climate we're in. It just feels absolutely gross. And it's also, we're going to talk about this. Nintendo's raising prices because the tariffs are going to be hitting them, but they're raising prices on older Switch devices, not the Switch 2 yet. Sonos is going to be raising prices on a couple things. We've charted this over the last few months. Um, just feels like a real tin pot era dictatorship that we're living in right now when companies have to respond like this. I don't know what there else is to say. The first when I launched this stream, the first comment we got was, please don't get political. Literally everyone is responding to the politics that's happening right now, and a lot of it is batshit insane. Theft hiding in plain sight, bribes hiding in plain sight, and it is disgusting. I don't know what else. Does this make you think any less of Apple at this point, Sam or Ben?
I don't know. I think I wish they hadn't done it. So I guess a
Mhm.
tiny bit, but like in the big scheme of things, probably not. This is more of just like, hey, a capitalist company is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that they can keep prices or costs down. Because hey, if we have to raise prices, then probably profits, revenues are going to go down too. So they are making the rational move. But companies don't have a soul, right? It's
Yeah.
companies do what the people in charge tell them to do. So
It shows the
that's
limits of capitalism in that all you can do is respond to market pressures and the insanity of the people in charge. Like, that's
mhm.
ultimately it. We noted in our report in the first Trump administration, in 2019, Apple, Tim Cook, we have a little typo there. Tim Cook says that Apple opened a Mac Pro factory in Texas to make Trump happy. That thing was up and running since 2013. And also, that particular factory was also having a lot of issues. So, that again was just like, hey, symbolic. Apple doing stuff in America. Trump can say, hey, he pumped up American manufacturing. We're not going to talk about the terrible jobs losses. We're not going to talk about the tanking economy, or any of that other stuff. Like, Trump gets a gold trophy and he gets to be happy for a minute, and Apple gets to avoid the tariffs. And that is the world we're living in. So
But
And
we'll
let's not
also
forget,
see whether or not they actually do get to avoid the
we'll
tariffs.
see.
yeah, let's not forget, tariffs are taxes. Taxes on us because the people who import the stuff are the people who pay the tariffs, and then usually, pretty much in almost every circumstance, the people who buy the products, the cost gets passed down to them.
Okay.
So yeah,
Which
it's
is
really unfortunate.
Yeah, which is entirely why, and I hope this is the last word on, people saying don't get political, but like it's hard not to get political when what's going to happen? Like several months from now, somebody's going to be like, oh man, I want to buy a new TV or I want to buy like a new computer, but things are so much more expensive now. Why is that?
Why
If
is that?
you're not allowed to say anything about politics when it attaches to tech, then you're going to be like, I have no idea why things are so much more expensive now than they were 18 months ago.
Yeah, rather than don't get political, I think the slogan now should be let's get political. Understand how the processes of power and levers of power are being used to make your life worse. That's something we certainly try to point out here. I also want to point out, like, even though Apple's talk about putting some manufacturing in the US, the vast majority of their stuff is still going to be made in China, in India, where they're also doing more
They've
Vietnam.
done, yeah,
manufacturing
they've done
in
a lot
Vietnam.
to shift things toward India. And
Yeah.
the headlines that I've seen recently is since India has purchased a lot of like petrochemical stuff from Russia recently, whether or not Apple's new manufacturing in India could end up getting hit by tariffs because now there are threats on greater tariffs to India because of this Russia petrochemical stuff.
Yeah, and also, hey, you can never trust a deranged dictator. Basically, look at what the colleges who have basically, again, poured gift money to the Trump administration, hoping to be left alone. They're still facing various sorts of punishment, and fines, and hiring practices are going to be heavily surveilled. What a time!
We need to
What a
see who
time
you're
for everybody.
admitting.
Yeah, they
That's
need to see who you're admitting.
nuts. So one
Anyway,
thing that I'm struck by here is that they say that they're investing 100 billion into like the US, but like I'm not seeing anything about AI data centers,
they
which
did mention that
is
before. So in February they talked about the 500 billion. So this is 100 billion on top of 500 billion.
okay, so a
Haven't mentioned
total
where they're putting
600
it.
billion investment.
Yes, they were saying they were going to put a lot of that money towards AI data centers in the U.S., and that seems very likely. So there's that. And Apple's relationship with Corning, that is an American success story, right? The iPhone would not be possible without
That's a New York State success
New York
story.
State success story. They tried to get me to go visit those labs, but they're over like by the Finger Lakes, I think, right? And
It's a
I'm not
beautiful
there.
part of the country, but
I'm not
it's
going
just
there.
hard to get to.
It's hard to get to. No, thank you, Corning.
Especially if like if you lived in the New York City area or like North Jersey, like you did a few years ago, it would be a great excuse to like visit that and then like take the family on vacation, because my family loves going up to the Finger Lakes. It's a beautiful part of
sounds lovely.
actual real New York State.
Whenever I hear the Finger Lakes, I just think of Jim Carrey when he guested in The Office. Like, I'm going to go to Finger Lakes. We're going to have a vacation plan. Like, it was a funny thing. The only time I've ever seen that fully referenced. Anyway, that is an actual American manufacturing success story. A lot of people have written about that. We will see. We will see what happens. To me, this ultimately does not look good for Trump, or certainly doesn't ultimately look good for Tim Cook. But we will see how any of this stuff looks good for Trump's economy moving forward. Let's move on to some other news. I mentioned the original Nintendo Switch is going to be getting a price hike. All the models of the Nintendo Switch, including the Switch OLED. So the Switch
But not the
OLED,
Switch 2, critically.
yeah, not the Switch 2, because I think that was the whole drama when they announced the Switch, and then Trump announced crazy tariffs. We thought, like, when they delayed pre-orders for the Switch 2, that they could potentially raise the prices, and I think a lot of people were thinking Nintendo just kind of priced the Switch 2 at the point where potentially maybe a little higher from the beginning, just anticipating some of this stuff too. Let me see here. The new
The
price.
prices are going up from, I think, $299, and that's what I think I paid for my Switch
Yeah.
a number of years ago. I was so happy to get a Switch in February of 2020, and that was just because I happened to want a Switch. I wasn't following the news coming out of China about how people were coughing. I just got really lucky.
You were
But
lucky at that point. Yeah.
so it's going up what, like almost $50?
We don't have
The
final pricing yet. They're saying Target listed the Switch at $340, the Switch Lite at $230, so that's $40 more and $30 more respectively. Target listed the Switch OLED at $400. That's $50 more than I paid at launch. I have a Switch OLED right now. If I could sell that thing close to that price, that would almost recoup the cost of the Switch 2. This is maddening, but people are still buying the older hardware too, so clearly there's like still some sort of demand for it. For people who have the Switch 2, what are you doing with your old Switches? Are you just keeping it around for some games? Are they going to your kids? I'd love to know, because my daughter has basically taken ownership of the Switch Lite that I have, because that is perfectly sized for her 6-year-old hands. But the Switch OLED is a really nice machine. Kind of don't want to leave that screen behind. So I don't know. We're trying to figure out things right now. Any other Nintendo news? I think there was something else we wanted to mention.
Yeah, there was another bit of Nintendo news, which is just that the Switch 2 sold really, 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 really well.
Yeah. Even
The
though there's still a ton of stock. Like, you can go to stores and see them in stores right now.
which is
Yeah.
just like shows that Nintendo did really good like inventory planning
Yeah.
too this time, because I mean it was really hard to find a Switch for a long time, especially in the middle of the pandemic that had its own issues of like rolling lockdowns around the country, supply chain that we could not stop talking about through 2021 and 2022. But the numbers for the Switch 2 are that between when the Switch launched on June 5th and the end of the like window in which they were looking, which is June 30th, they sold 5.82 million units. That's crazy.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah, I mean, I believe that's the
Anyway.
fastest, console launch in history. So kudos to Nintendo. And the other thing is, even before the Switch 2 came out, Nintendo was like, hey, we are going to figure out a way to combat scalping. And hey, you know what? The best way to combat scalping is to have lots of inventory so that there isn't crazy demand and people can just go out and buy the Switch, or Switch 2 in this case.
Yeah. The goal, according to at least from what we've seen, Nintendo's goal is to sell 15 million Switch 2s by March 2026. At this rate, that seems very, very likely. Like, I really wonder what they'll hit. Like, maybe 20 by that point. Certainly, like, we're not even in the holiday season yet, and there are only still like two major games for the Switch 2. You've got Mario Kart World, and now Donkey Kong Bonanza just came out. But there's still like not a huge compelling system seller for a lot of people too. So
I think
that's
that'll
where,
change,
yeah.
definitely by the end of the year because we're gonna get Metroid Prime 4 and some
Mm,
other things. So I think there will be a more full bodied lineup for the Switch 2. By 2026.
yeah. Just want to quickly, hey, we got don't make it political, right? Except I just saw the news of something that just happened this morning.
Mhm.
Trump says this Intel CEO Lip Butan must resign immediately. Yay, chaos! Everything
Is
is just chaos every day.
is that because of his nationality?
His nationality and
Oh,
his
goodness
ties to
gracious.
China. A post on Truth Social, he wrote, I'm going to say this with Trump capitalizations. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There is no other solution to this problem. Thank you for your attention to this problem. Yeah. Anyway, Liputan took over as Intel CEO in March. He had
And
talked
it's
about making
also
a
not like
change.
Intel needs this extra hassle. They've been having like problems upon problems for the last several years, to
They've
the
had big
point
problems.
where like their already religious CEO that just stepped down was at some points just posting Bible quotes. If you want a look into someone's like mental state, if they are just posting Bible quotes, things are probably not going that well.
Oh man. So Trump's response comes after Republican Senator Tom Cotton wrote to Intel's board of directors asking about his ties to China and investments in the country. And let me see. He also raised concerns about Liputan's time leading Cadence Design Systems, which had a Chinese military university as a customer. This is all according to TechCrunch. And then yeah, you get Trump blowing up on a social media post, and something concrete could actually happen from this. Like the posting, this is the posting president, and once again, he is posting to potentially reshape major companies, reshape the technological landscape. Anyway, guys, it's
Yeah.
all so much fun. In other news, we saw the story that OpenAI is removing ChatGPT conversations from Google. Why were they being indexed by Google in the first place? I don't make this chat discoverable was an option. Why would you want that? Why would you want that? Why is that even a thing? Do you guys
Well, I
have
think
thoughts
the
about
idea might have originally been that you weren't going to use ChatGPT as your therapist or as someone that you're having
that?
something that you're having an emotional affair with.
They've been
But
promoting
people
those
went,
sorts of uses from the beginning, so I don't know.
yeah.
OpenAI is a really screwed up company, guys. Like I talked about this problem I had before, where I've been getting recurring charges from OpenAI for subscribing to ChatGPT. I'm not subscribed to ChatGPT. Like I did it for like a month to just test it out. I go on their website. I'm on the free account, but I'm still getting recurring credit card charges. So now I have to like go yell at somebody. They don't have humans to yell at, so I have to like yell at a bot until they stop the subscription and keep canceling the charge via my credit card company. That's the company we're basing the entire like future of technology on, is the company that can't get recurring subscriptions right. Anyway.
So I have some friends, some people
Mhm,
close to me who have been caught in the tech layoffs
mhm,
recently. Some of them have been working in customer success and like all of those areas of tech companies where you work directly with like the customer base. I can tell you from pretty good like secondhand information from them telling me just about their job search
mhm.
that there are so many open roles at Anthropic and OpenAI right now because I think they tried to build something that makes money first, and now they're realizing that they need to service those customers just like any other company who is charging a monthly fee might have to, and you can't just do it via your own chatbot. And so we'll see how that works out. Like, there's just going to be a lot of new hires um, at these like AI development companies doing very, what's a good example? Amazon customer service kind of roles.
Yeah. Uh, that's something that speaks to me directly. Like I care deeply about how users relate to technology. That was like my impetus for doing all this in the first place. Like I worked in retail supporting electronic sales. I worked in IT for almost 10 years. Like there's no chatbot that's going to really help people understand tech to this degree because it assumes people will be able to like know what questions to ask or know how to like talk with a chatbot. Like so much of being somebody helping in customer support is literal therapy. It's like, okay, calm down. Your thesis is gone. You saved it here. First, you need to take 10 minutes to calm down. I had like a literal procedure to help people calm down from freaking out when they had data loss. Then you solve the problem. So, yeah,
Much like
like,
economics, it seems like a lot of chatbot use cases assume that humans are completely rational actors,
yeah.
and they are not.
This is why I hate taking economics classes. But anyway. Other bit here, not as like interesting or fun as anything else, but Disney announced it's going to be fully consuming Hulu in 2026. Most of Hulu's content is already within the Disney Plus app, but the Hulu app still exists as a standalone thing. That's going to go away in 2026. The Hulu brand will take over for the Star brand, which is that was a streaming service in channel that Disney had internationally. So people in America have no clue what that's about, but that's in like Europe and Asia. Star is like a big thing. So now that's just going to be Hulu. Um, I think this is more of like a tech stack thing because right now it feels like they're two completely different systems. When you click the Hulu tab in the Disney Plus app, like the actual show launching experience and everything is very different than within Disney Plus. So they may have to do like a tech rebuild. Maybe they'll probably have to rework the app too, so that it's like it just feels more consistent and a little more unified. And then we'll see where they go from there. Because I'm in a weird state. Like I'm getting because of the crazy set of deals that happen in America with carriers and whatnot. I think because I have AT&T internet, they're giving me Disney Plus for free. But now that Hulu's a part of Disney Plus, it's only the Hulu with ads, and you have no ability to like go in and tweak anything because they have not built that function out. Your service comes from AT&T. You can't change anything. So maybe they're gonna make things a little more flexible for people who have like weird separated Hulu and
I
Disney.
hope so. I just
Yeah,
the other day I was trying to sign up for HBO Max,
yeah,
and there's like a bundle where you can add HBO Max to your Hulu Disney deal, but you can add the ad free or the ad supported one, but you can't add the 4K one to the
yeah.
bundle for some unknown reason. It's just literally not an option, and it's just like why? That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I have a Verizon. That's where I get my mobile from. Is Verizon, and they give you free HBO Max, but it's only the low tier 1080p HBO Max. So I have two HBO Max accounts now. One that's free and one that I pay for because I need the freaking 4K, man. Some of those shows you just need to see in 4K with the HDR and everything. It is worth it, but only for sickos like me and people who have, I don't know, really killer home theater setups and whatnot. Any other thoughts about Hulu officially going away? Hulu's a weird thing. If
I
you
mean,
remember,
it
'cause-
was
Yeah,
always
no,
gonna
I was
happen.
looking.
If
yeah,
as soon as Disney bought everything, it's like it always feels like, hey, Disney is the name that people know. They're gonna throw everything into Disney app, and in some respects, this is like the most logical thing ever because hey, you put all the content that Disney owns in the Disney app, and that's the thing you use. Okay, cool.
yeah,
But just from like the founding of Hulu, because the
yes,
founding of Hulu happened between basically all of the major like over-the-air TV companies in
exactly,
2007
yes,
when
yep.
they
Yeah,
were
it was like a panic
Fox and
response to
NBC.
Netflix. Yeah.
yeah, it was a panic response, and it was like it was super interesting to see all of these different things on Hulu in the very early days, because I remember I spent a lot of time on Hulu when I don't think you even needed to get a subscription at that point. in like 2009 or something. You might have had some ads, but they were like just getting like the programmatic streaming ads going at that time too. It was a weird Wild West situation.
Also, nobody thought Hulu would even be a thing. Like I remember when it was announced, people were like, what is this silly company called Hulu?" And it's a combination between Fox, ABC, and NBC. There's no way this will survive. Hulu kind of did like it didn't like do incredibly well, and it had some really terrible redesigns. I think like the 2012 era, I believe, redesign that made it just freaking inaccessible. Um, was crazy, but as a business, like as a project, it was really interesting. And then yeah, now it's just all consumed by Disney, essentially all consumed by ABC now. And Fox exists within that stuff too, is within Disney now. Like it's all Disney. So
It's
everything's
true.
within,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, because they bought 20th Century and everything.
yeah. It's all hey, American
It's
corporate life. Like it is just like one big fish eating everybody until they're too huge. Yeah.
I guess it shouldn't be surprising that Disney was the one who won.
Mhm.
But again, if you went back to like 2008 or 2009 and said, "Hey, like ABC, NBC, Fox all got together and did a streaming service, who do you think would win?" I think people would be like, I have no idea. Like it's really way up in the air." But the mouse always gets what it wants.
The mouse will abide. I think we can take a break.
Okay, so Q&A. If anybody wants to ask us questions or anything, we might include this in the episode. We're also going to just like go through the rest of the episode. We'll have some time to talk to chat at the end as well, and we'll take some of the better questions and put them into this episode here.
See questions. Thank you.
I don't want to get too punchy, but I do want to respond to Aaron Hernandez, who talks about like, okay, well, if Republicans like stay in power for like a while, could they get like a bunch of companies to actually make their products here?
No.
My brother in Christ, how do you think they're going to like get those factories going? We don't even produce our own factory floor machines in the US anymore, which means that the machines we need in order to get American manufacturing restarted are now subject to crazy tariffs. That's
And
all I
and
have to say about that.
and then the other thing to consider is just like there's multiple ways to get what you want. And if you want more American manufacturing, you can either do the thing that Trump's doing and you can just tariff, which is essentially punishing people
Mhm.
for not playing by his rules, or you can do the other thing is incentivize people. That's why we had stuff like, oh, hey, there was an EV tax incentive. So your EV effectively costs less, therefore you're supporting American manufacturing to help build stuff in the US. Or you can do the other thing and you can cancel the EV tax credit and then, oh, hey, look at that. American companies aren't as incentivized to make EVs anymore. And then they're going to slowly or are already losing ground to Chinese EVs or European EVs and stuff like that.
And it's good.
Um,
That's happening across the board too. Like we had a big renewable energy industry within the US, and all the money that was meant for that, a lot of that funding, a lot of that like research and innovation has been any money coming from the government has been killed, which is killing that's American manufacturing. Like those are the people who could be making the future companies that could actually build stuff here, even though a lot of those components will still come from China and elsewhere. The Chinese companies made really efficient, really cheap solar panels, and like the smartest thing is to take advantage of that and also bring that here and figure out ways to build it and bring it to American houses in an affordable way. That's the actual manufacturing, but these are the people that will be like, "Hey, we're gonna save coal miners," when coal is nothing. Coal is nothing as an industry compared to saving or helping any of these renewable companies. So yeah, nothing actually means what they're saying. They don't actually care about American companies, because if they did, they would actually be supporting the successful ones that are working right now.
I also really want to test drive a BYD car. But I have to go all the way to China to do that.
You could do it in Mexico.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can go to
In
Mexico.
Mm,
Yeah. So, and a lot of people are thinking, I've seen a lot of people spending time in Mexico City and elsewhere in Mexico, and like, maybe I should just stay here. Maybe life is better here than in America. Like, there are certainly a lot of issues like within Mexico, like there is gang crime, especially outside of the cities, and there are things to worry about. But a lot of people I've talked to feel like their quality of life was better there, and certainly when they were staying in Mexico City.
yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, I think that it might be the same as like San Francisco circa
Yeah,
2010 or so, people being like, "Oh my God, I feel like I can finally afford things." Meanwhile, we really don't want Mexico City to get San Francisco. And I know that that's like a politically charged
yeah,
thing to
yeah,
say because
yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, San Francisco's so gross." No, what I'm saying is when you have a huge influx of people earning a lot of money, that pushes a lot of other people out. It does bad things to the social fabric of wherever the tech wealth or the out of country wealth
Oh man,
is
I'm seeing
displacing people.
expats look all over Latin America. They're like, Uruguay looks great. A lot of a lot of countries, people are really looking at right now. Anyway, do we have any questions for us from the chat? Hello, chat.
So Muad'Dib says, how much effect will it have for consumers in America if the India tariff sticks?
iPhones would be, if Apple doesn't actually fully get out of that, like a lot of iPhone manufacturing happens there. India's taking on more manufacturing jobs in general, so it'll just hit you in random places, like
Yeah, that's one of those like
stores.
this is one of the things that we got to monitor going forward because a lot of companies like Apple have been shifting production of devices from China to India because for many reasons they thought, hey, China may be not the most stable place to continue manufacturing stuff in the future, and so they've shifted production of iPhones and other devices to India, to Vietnam, and hey, yes, and the thing is, once again, this is coming from the president who goes, "I make the best deals. I'm the best businessman." You know what businesses really don't like? Chaos. Because when the supply lines are constantly getting messed with and the prices of components and all of these things keeps going up and down, it's really hard to plan very far in the future with any sort of certainty. And yeah, that makes it hard to do business.
Gotcha. Let's get right into the questions because I want to answer this thing for Mark Dell while he's still around and watching too. Okay, so I'm going to introduce this section.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some Q&A from our audience. Mark Dell in the chat left a good one immediately when we asked for questions. This is what we want, folks. Just leave us stuff to answer. He writes, I just got a new TV, the LG G5. Congrats. And it came with a sound bar. I have it hooked up over HDMI to the TV, and that feels weird. Should I hook a soundbar up with HDMI or should I be using optical? This is a really good point, because it does feel weird for anybody who's been doing AV stuff before, like HDMI ARC and before, like,
EARC, yeah, definitely.
yeah, that whole thing. Like, you were using optical or SPDIF, or you were using a digital coax connection to other devices or something. But no, now it all happens over HDMI. The downside is you have to sacrifice an HDMI port on your TV to do that. You usually have like one or two eARC ports.
Mhm.
But yeah, you plug it in there and you get fully uncompressed sound. The thing about optical is that it doesn't have a lot of bandwidth. So if you want Dolby Atmos, if you want multi-channel, I believe optical tapped out at 5.1, like 5.1 48 kilohertz. But we've moved on since then. Like, since optical, we have Dolby Atmos, we have DTSX, we have all these things that use a lot more speakers and need a lot more bandwidth. So yes, hook that sound bar up over HDMI. It is confusing. You may have to like dive into some TV settings, and you may have to like reboot things a couple of times. I did this at my vacation house because I bring a Sonos Beam whenever I go stay somewhere just to have like better sound, even if it's a crappy TV. And you have to like change it in the TV settings and reboot a couple times and hope and pray the HDMI connection clicks. Once it does, it should work pretty great. So yes, use HDMI, folks. Give up on optical. You don't need optical anymore. Unless you're doing like a weird thing from your computer to like stereo speakers, then optical would probably be fine.
But definitely, for older folks or people who
Yeah,
have, like you said, experience with like old traditional AV setups, it does feel a little bit weird because in,
it's
in
weird.
some ways it's like too easy. But then you, like you said, you're hoping that like, hey, the EARC gets detected properly by
Mhm.
both devices, and then that can be when you run into issues.
It's very confusing. Like Mark is like, my soundbar also has HDMI. It's just sound. Yes, HDMI feeds both sound and video. So now you're just using it for sound for one thing. And
I remember when I was
yeah.
reviewing the first gen Philips Hue Sync box that does the
Mhm.
ambient lighting. It was really confusing to do EARC with a soundbar plus that box,
Yeah.
and so it
Yeah.
was like it took a few steps. And I think they've gotten better with the 4K sync box, which I haven't tested, but yeah,
Mhm.
it depending on how many devices you have plugged in. If it's just a soundbar, EARC is great. If you are juggling with like multiple devices and a ton of different speakers, that's when you start to consider like, hey, do I maybe need like a proper receiver or stuff like that? But yeah,
Yeah. Yep. And it's it's kind of funny too because what was I going to say here? I just feel like, yeah, if you're an older user, you're just not used to it. It just feels weird. And yeah, the thing about old analog connections is that if you had everything connected properly, it just worked, right? It worked immediately. The thing about digital connections is that you have to go through like
there's some handshakes
HTTP
and yeah,
handshakes, like a copyright protection shit. So if that stuff isn't working properly, even if it's all connected properly, it's just not going to work. So you have
a
to
lot of times you have to
work.
dive through the menus and
Yeah.
tweak some settings. Yeah.
You have to dive into the menus. Just have to hope and pray. I feel like there's some prayer involved with a lot of these things, but digital connections should be easier. But the thing is, analog connections are actually easier because it's either they work or they sound fuzzy or they don't. Digital is like, I don't know what layer of copyright protection is stopping me from seeing what I need to see right now. Certainly if you did like that Philips Hue thing plus the sound bar, like there are so many chains that HDMI has to hop that it could just die. It could just refuse to work. It could just stop working. It's a pain in the butt. But when it works, it is easier. The cabling is easier, so that's nice. Yeah, read Bible verses to it, Mark, as he's saying in the chat. I think that'll probably help. While people come up with other questions, I wanted to answer some stuff I've gotten around Windows 10. I'm actually writing about that right now. The Windows 10 end of life is October 14th, I believe. It's mid-October, and people are asking me like, what do I do? I have a Windows 10 PC. I've refused to update because I really like Windows 10. I don't want to deal with Windows 11. What do I do? And I'm writing up a guide right now, and basically it comes down to this: like, if you can update to Windows 11, you probably should. It's fine. There's nothing like actually terrible about it that will hurt your experience. I don't think there are any major incompatibilities unless you know for sure something critical that you use does not work in Windows 11. The initial controversy around Windows 11 was that the taskbar icons were centered, the start menu was centered, and then we yelled at Microsoft, and they eventually let you move it to the left. My initial complaint was that they only let you view the taskbar icons in a compressed way, which looked a lot like the macOS dock, which I freaking hate because
Mhm.
then you don't get individual icons for different windows. Then you have to like right click on that icon, then click down from a drop down menu of the window you're looking for. I hated that. So eventually Microsoft did add the ability to ungroup the apps. So you could just have like a mess of icons at the bottom of your screen. That's what I want. I'm a Windows sicko. Like I want to click one button and go to one window and know exactly what that is. I have a big monitor. That's how it should work. So for me, like they ultimately fixed a lot of those initial usability issues. Windows 11 is stable, it's secure. If you are getting any updates on a Windows 10 system to say, hey, just upgrade to Windows 11, you can do it, then that means your system's probably compatible. Where the problems come in is like boot stuff. So your computer has to support Safe Boot and it has to support TPM 2.0 connection or TPM 2.0 I don't know what you call that, authentication. That's the thing that'll be controlling security for Windows Hello and all that stuff. And if you do BitLocker file encryption, if you don't have that in your system, I believe there were some workarounds for that, but for most people, it's probably not worth doing. Um, in that case, you can subscribe to the extended service for Windows 10 to get security updates for another year, but that's like
That
$30.
That's
And
probably what I'm gonna do, just
really,
because I have a desktop and my desktop is the last gen that wasn't able to upgrade to Windows 11.
uh huh,
Um, And it's really funny because you can pay for the extended service upgrade program, and you can one way to pay for it is redeem 1,000 Microsoft Award points, which I believe you can still earn by like
Yeah.
clicking on random things in Bing. So you can like it takes a silly way to like you have to use Bing and you go answer a couple questions every day, but you can basically get it for free, and it will give you an extra year to decide what you want to do because
Yeah.
the ESU only lasts to October 13th, 2026.
Yeah, I read up that story. I think a lot of people who are like Microsoft loyalists, or if you play a lot of like Xbox stuff, you earn points within doing some stuff on Xbox too. So like you probably have points and you don't even know.
Mhm.
So, Microsoft fanatics probably can just get that for, another year. What is essentially happening for Windows 10 is that it's no longer going to be updated. There are no more security updates. You're kind of on your own unless you subscribe to the ESU. You could just keep running Windows 10. You could just keep going. But then every day that OS gets less and less secure. So
You're just raw dogging the internet at
you're
that
just
point.
raw dogging it. So like it could get to the point where somebody discovers a critical vulnerability, a 0-day hack that could, get into your system or something or wipe your system, and you are not protected against it at all. I would say the only people who should just keep using Windows 10, for you, Sam, you're a smart user. You probably would be able to use it fine without subscribing to the ESU. But if you can't update to Windows 10, how old is that computer? Like, how old is your desktop, Sam?
Oh, I mean, we've been going. This is like a Engadget podcast topic going back like a year or two now. I am due for a big overhaul desktop
Okay.
refresh. I'm probably gonna just start from scratch. My case is I was trying to figure it out. My case, I bought it in 2013, so it's a 13-year-old case, or maybe even older than that. And it's like, okay, I would like some more USB-C ports on the case. So it's like, it's time for me to upgrade the case. And if I'm going to do that and I need a new CPU and I need a new GPU, I might as well just do a full brand new build. So that'll happen. And in some ways, this is like, hey, it's giving me a year to prepare for like, oh, I can go figure out the case I want, figure out the components and stuff like
I
that.
would
And at
buy
least I
stuff
get a
soon,
little
Sam.
little
Sam, if
runway.
you were thinking of a computer, I would not wait till next year. Do it soon.
Good point.
Everything's getting more expensive. It's unfortunate.
Yep.
And there's also a nice array of chips and GPUs that you can find right now. The GPUs are going to be the ones that hurt you the most, but look at pre-builds. I've been building every desktop I've had since I've been in college, or so that was since 2001. I built every single desktop I've had. But these days, you can get good deals from bundles. Like people are making good hardware.
I'm weirdly picky about cases. I don't know why. I need to have the case. It has to look as good as the rest of the PC. And
Yeah.
it's like I've gone on, to press briefings and be like, "Hey, Alienware, will you sell me that like Aurora case just so I don't want the components. I like the case and can I?" And they're like, "No, we're not going to sell it individually." You've been there when I've done that, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's always funny because it's like there's some really cool, cases from some of the big manufacturers. And when they sell pre-builds, they like selling the whole system instead
Yeah.
of just the case, which is a
That's part of
bummer
the deal.
for
Yeah.
for people who like to go around and hack and build their own systems.
I know I can confidently build computers. Like I've been doing it for a while. There's always that like Hail Mary moment when you turn it on for the first time. The thing with the pre-build is that it should just work. Like sometimes they do ship it without the GPU plugged in because it's heavy and may weigh things down. So you usually have to like plug that in, then hit go.
Mhm.
But the thing about a pre-build is they do the wiring for you, right? Like, and the thing I'm bad at is like hiding wires and organizing cables and shit.
Oh
So
yeah, don't ever look at the other side, the opposite side of the motherboard, because it's just a rat's nest in there. But like the
just
side with the window looks okay.
looks all right. For me, the pre-build is just like, hey, can you just do this work for me, please, so I can get a computer that goes. Are you still thinking full size, Sam, or are you looking at like mid?
I've always been in a mid tower.
Mhm.
I every once in a while I think of like doing a small form factor just for a little bit of extra space. But then I always think about how I'm just gonna skin the like tear up my knuckles when I'm trying to in there like trying to get everything to fit and whatnot. So I'm still in between if I want to like a SFF case or more of a mid tower thing. But yeah.
A lot of the reason, like I've always been mid tower, but like, hey, since PCIe kind of became the standard, there's very few reasons to get like additional cards. Like really, you just need to get. You have onboard audio that's good. You have onboard networking that's good. Usually
Mhm.
Wi-Fi is onboard. Like you don't. don't need anything else. The only reason I have an additional card in my system right now is that my freaking don't buy a Gigabyte motherboard, Sam. Don't buy Gigabyte hardware in general, because I think at one point I installed a GPU and like something internally broke on the built-in Ethernet, just something shorted out. So I had to get a card just for that. So
Mm.
don't buy Gigabyte in general. But you know, like you don't actually need that much expansion space. What you need is space for SSDs and
Yep.
small form factors. Small form factors.
Lots of M.2 slots, as many as you can get.
Yeah. So do we have any other questions from chat? Or by the way, Windows 10. So upgrade to Windows 11. Do the ESU or raw dog it, baby, and pray. And I be careful. Like if
Yeah, but how long are you actually going to be safe online after all of the?
years, like
Uh,
I
you
Windows,
think that it's as long as a couple years?
you'd probably be fine for a couple of years if you're not like out there torrenting stupid stuff and
Yeah,
bothering
you know,
like
if
you're
you
fine.
go to like established sites,
Yes,
you'll probably be fine. But you know, the more deep diving into the dark reaches of the internet, that's when you start to open yourself up to a lot more risk.
for sure. And sometimes it can be dangerous. Like I know, hey, CNET and download.com, I like people who work there, but I know specifically that that company was injecting like weird adware into a lot of downloads, and that was making them money, and that's why they did it. So that may not necessarily have been super nefarious hardware, but or software, but it was stuff on your computer that you probably didn't want. So that's the sort of thing you have to worry about too. If your computer is too old to get Windows 11, just you need a new computer. I'm sorry, like now is the time to upgrade. I don't want to sound like Dell and all the PC companies like, oh yeah, buddy, now's the time to get people to buy new computers. But if your computer is like almost 10 years old, as your desktop probably is, Sam, yeah, it's time. It is time to upgrade to something
So
else. Mhm.
I think we have one last quick question
Okay.
from Kevin says, how will PC motherboards charge? Is it charge or change with the
Change.
new?
Probably change.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it again. Kevin says, how will new PC mother? God dang it. Okay. Kevin asks, how will PC motherboards change with the new Nvidia SOC coming soon? What do you guys think?
We don't know what that is. We don't know what that is. And what that is, that's the ARM chip, right? That they're potentially working on because it's an SoC.
Yeah, I can only imagine SOC means system on a chip.
That's not gonna be a thing. I don't know. Is that gonna be like a? I can imagine somebody making a really good small form factor motherboard with that SoC on it, essentially doing what Apple does with its M series chips, but a thing you can buy and plug into any case. That would be cool. But I think that would only apply to small form factor systems. I don't think random case maker or random motherboard makers are going to be making stuff just for this NVIDIA chip. This is probably going to start with a few partners, probably NVIDIA and Asus and people that they like will probably be doing like their premier partners may do some stuff like that. I have been thinking about like what do I have because I test so many GPUs. I have stuff like just sitting behind me. I'm like I could just make a little small form factor system and put that near my home theater, and that is a thing that I do PC gaming on a big screen, rather than stringing a 50-foot HDMI cable from from my PC here, because doing keyboard and mouse stuff from a PC that's far away is actually really hard and annoying. Um, so I don't know. I don't think broadly anything will change, but that if the NVIDIA SoC comes out, what Apple has done with the M series chips is kind of remarkable, right? Because they have created this really, really small platform with really powerful GPUs and CPUs, and it does pretty good gaming. Like you can game on a MacBook Air or even the MacBook Pro without spending too much for the bigger GPUs. So that could be really interesting. I don't think the overall industry is going to change that. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, I like I want to give Qualcomm a little bit of credit because their Snapdragon X Elite stuff is like pretty performant based on they want to be very power efficient, and for the performance it is really competitive. We've seen Microsoft partner with Qualcomm to put it in Surface laptops and stuff like that. And so the issue is that Microsoft it just wasn't as good at as Apple in kind of gracefully transitioning over to ARM based stuff, and so that it just wasn't as seamless as it was with Apple had Rosetta and stuff like that.
Because they did all that work themselves, right? Like they did that work internally to rebuild macOS and be like, hey, force developers. They also did a really good emulator that made
Yes.
the older Intel apps work well. So yeah, Weathered Shields points out ARM-based Windows only works if the OS is optimized for it. It's taking forever for Windows to compete. In the last year, as you're pointing out, Sam, those Snapdragon chips, last year when Microsoft launched the Copilot systems, that also came with a new version of Windows 11 with serious ARM enhancements. Like
Yeah, just
that
ARM
makes
support based, yeah, baked in from the ground up.
it
And at this
yeah.
point, a little while ago, Photoshop has they fully support ARM chips for basically all of the important Photoshop apps, and that was kind of one of like the last remaining kind of hurdles that people were trying to get around.
I could totally
So
see living with like a Windows ARM PC as a productivity machine, as like a laptop just for productivity. Games is the problem. Games
mhm.
is the real big problem because those things have good GPUs, but Steam and a lot of games built for Windows do not support Windows on ARM at all, and
Yeah,
the emulation is not great.
it frustrates me to this day that Riot for League of Legends and Valorant and all of those games, they have kernel-based anti-cheat protection, which is completely unnecessary and doesn't need to exist. But
Mhm.
because it's kernel-based, it only runs on x86 stuff. And so, if you want to do, even if you have Windows and you can install the game, but because you can't install the anti-cheat, you can't play League of Legends on ARM-based systems right now, and it's
I
super
think
frustrating.
Fortnite as well. A couple other
Hmm.
like major games like just do not work on those systems. The things that don't work on a Steam Deck kind of similar, basically, because they require like Windows proper Windows x86 to work. I think the bigger there's all sorts of stuff happening right now, right? Like there's the idea of Steam being a thing people could install on gaming machines moving forward, like SteamOS proper. There's the upcoming PC handhelds, like more PC handhelds, but Microsoft getting in on that game too.
There's
Yeah.
RISC-V systems or
Yep.
chips lurking in the background, which is like people have been talking about them, like kind of threatening the like arm movement.
Yeah.
Well, that remains to be seen, but it is a thing.
It is
I'm just
absolutely a thing.
still surprised that ARM is a British company. Like, yes, it's owned by SoftBank now, but man, I haven't heard anything about the GB like being consequential in software development for a long time. Like, they've got DeepMind and what else?
I mean, that's partially why I think the British regulatory folks were like, you Nvidia is not buying you. Part of it was like they did not want to, I think, potentially lose that, but also they were worried about like how big Nvidia would become if they took this big thing and made ARM a part of Nvidia proper.
Okay, so thanks everybody for your questions. Remember, you can always send additional questions to our email address, podcast@engadget.com. We love to answer this stuff. If you have buying guide sort of questions, if you have there's a ghost in my machine sort of questions, can you help us figure that out? Not a reference to the anime, but thank you so much, everybody, for
Yeah.
sending in those questions and send in more, please.
More, please. I'll do one because I see one right here. WX Romer asks, "What do we think about the Lenovo Yoga 7 with Ryzen CPU and Copilot not using for gaming?" The thing I say about Lenovo hardware, in general, I do not trust Lenovo hardware. I do not trust Lenovo's manufacturing right now. I don't trust the longevity of it. Sam, you've reviewed them and tested them more
Mhm.
recently than I have. Like, what do you think about a system like that?
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're just talking about pure productivity, not for gaming, I like the Yoga 7 and the Yoga 9
Mhm.
lines quite a bit. So and especially with the Ryzen CPUs, the Ryzen CPUs, especially for laptops, has gotten a lot more power efficient in the last few years. And
Mhm.
so I don't really have any issues with that as kind of a general productivity device.
If they're looking at the Yoga 7 for the flexing, for the ability to like move the screen around,
Mhm.
I would think the HP Spectre X360 is a better machine in general. Like I trust their build quality. Um, the kind of like the thing people aren't talking about is that Asus has been making great laptops lately. Like a lot, and I think their build quality has improved so much. They have so much experience as an OEM that I don't think that's kind of the thing that's always been holding Lenovo back since Lenovo took over IBM ThinkPad and everything. They did not have the same level of expertise when it came to manufacturing, and I noticed build quality issues. So I would look actually more towards the ZenBooks as a potential thing too. Anything with a Ryzen CPU is going to be good. So I like those chips. All right, let's move on to the rest of the show. Anything you want to shout out that you're working on, Sam?
Yeah, speaking of Lenovo, not sure what segment this is going to go in, but I actually just got the Lenovo ThinkBook Plus Gen 6 rollable in for review. We saw this back at CES. This is like a 14-inch laptop, but it has a flexible display that, with a push of a button, goes from 14 to about 16 or 17 inches, and it kind of extends just up, and the screen just gets taller and taller, and it looks really weird in person when you do it because like the aspect ratio is completely like very funky. Um, but the fact that this thing even exists is like people have been talking about like trying companies or manufacturers have been talking about trying to do this for years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really interesting that hey, this is actually something you can just straight up buy now. And they didn't make a ton of sacrifices. It has somewhat limited USB-C ports, but aside from that, you got a standard CPU setup. The keyboard feels completely normal. So I'm really interested to see like once I actually have a chance to like really unbox it, set it up, and check it out to see how I feel about it. Obviously, there is the price. It is a bit pricey. I think it's like $3,000, but I gotta check the numbers again on that. Um, but
I'm
like you said,
looking at this thing, Sam, and what I just said about Lenovo build quality. So this is a machine with the the extending screen. I'm like, oh, buddy, how long? How long? I can't even trust a standard Lenovo laptop. I don't know about this thing, but it'll be fun to play.
I am a flexible device, flexible display device apologist. I love seeing what wild and silly things manufacturers can come up with, and so this is like this is one of the things is like if you're gonna buy this as your main system, just don't. Okay, like this is for this is like the most
For the
enthusiast
Yeah.
targeted sort of laptop ever. And if you want to have it because you think it's a flex on people or you just think it's cool, that's the target audience.
Can
Imagine
we
being in a
just
coffee shop and you just see somebody's laptop screen like grow taller? I'm just thinking like, what are you overcompensating for here?
my laptop's a grower?
Yeah.
Can we just say
Mhm.
that like we've heard Devindra say failure points, failure points, failure points
Yes.
100 times by now, not go into it, but like when you're thinking about build quality, certainly think about or if you're when you're thinking about like
Mhm.
whiz bang sort of new ways of interacting with your computer, think about build quality, and then that should inform your decision on whether or not you want to get that, because
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and on a more practical level, like I still prefer like the dual screen PCs because
Yeah.
they sort of give you a similar effect, but less moving parts. You have glass screens on both sides and stuff like that. And so and, just from like a design perspective, there's a bit more stability, a bit more, and it's we're using the same sort of screens that you get on a regular laptop. So there's a little bit more of established you know manufacturing quality to those systems. But like I said, I like seeing where manufacturers are going to take us next as
Mhm.
technology evolves.
Gotcha. Anything else, Sam?
And I'm actually testing out some sleep buds. I've mentioned before I have like a weird crutch where like I need to fall asleep listening to something, and
Mhm.
so I wear I don't want to blast stuff on the speakers and keep the whole household up. So I wear earbuds to sleep, and I just started wearing them about last week. They're extremely comfortable, but there's some kind of issues that I'll probably get
Mm.
into when I get to do the review.
Is this the company that took the Bose Sleep Bud?
It is, yes.
Okay.
And so like I said, they are extremely comfortable.
Mhm.
They are probably the most comfortable sleep buds that I've ever worn while sleeping. But some of the other more kind of technical aspects, I feel like they need a little bit of polish.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, those things were interesting because they were like supposed to be like comfortable buds that just played white noise for people, and I got it for my wife as a thing, and they were just like really buggy, the first gen Bose ones, and then Bose gave up on it, but this company revived it, so that's cool.
Right. And the Bose ones, they
Yeah.
only played white noise. They couldn't connect to
Yes.
Bluetooth. They couldn't,
Yes.
you couldn't, listen to a podcast or
Yeah.
whatever. And that was a deal breaker for me because the white noise doesn't do it
Yeah.
for me.
It was $200 just for white noise earbuds.
And so these that
Yeah.
I do appreciate that the Oslo sleep buds, they can, whatever's playing on your phone, they can, you can listen to that too. So that obviously
Yeah.
kind of ground rules for making sure making a decent product.
It's funny like how we get into these like sleep habits, like how we get to sleep. Basically, since my daughter was born and we were all sleeping in the same room, she had a white noise machine, and I just like really grew to like that's the thing. I kind of need that. So now wherever I go, I need to play like white noise to fall asleep, even in hotels. So
Yeah,
that's
my daughter is 11 months old, and we're hoping to move her out soon, but she's still sleeping in our room, and we have the white noise going every night.
white
But
noise.
I need something else.
So soothing. So soothing. I get it. I totally get it. Okay. Well, I told you guys I'm working on the Windows 10 guide. What do you do next? So I'm writing that up right now. I've got some like potential reviews too, but I think we can just move straight on to our picks for the week, our pop culture picks. And I could talk about Alien Earth. I've been checking out the new show created and written by Noah Hawley. He's the guy who did Legion on FX and also that Fargo TV show. That was mostly good. I'm like iffy on him because I really wanted Legion to be cool and I think it looked really cool. But man, that show spent a lot of time not going anywhere. And also, I'm a little prickly too because like every profile about Noah Hawley is about how much of a genius he is, and he is one of those writers who's admittedly smart, but he does not mind talking about how much of a genius he is too. So like all that is kind of like, I get it, guy. You're good at this, but chill a little bit. Alien Earth is good though. Despite all of my like reservations about him, this is bringing the alien story right to Earth and doing new and interesting things. Because the main pitch we've seen like what do you call them, like the replicants, the actual the robots in the alien world, that look like humans, those existed. We've seen like alien human hybrids. um this show is introducing kind of a new level into that of a company that has developed technology to upload human brains into synthetic bodies, and these they still think they're human because like they are effectively like they have human emotions. They just have the advantages of synthetic bodies, super strength, like they don't die, they don't age, and of course this show has aliens. So this is about a ship that crash lands onto Earth, I think before the events of the first Alien, and basically leaves a xenomorph and all sorts of creatures like crash lands with them, and all hell breaks loose, of course, because that's what happens. I think this show is fantastic. It is no Holly joint though, so it takes a while to get going. Like it feels like an 8 hour long movie, but in terms of the ideas it's exploring, it does give you some of that like good old alien mayhem, right? Like it gives you the xenomorph chasing people and mowing people down. It gives you the sort of like corporate politics and how disgusting it is, and how like how not far from today all of this feels like these companies that basically own entire countries and are seeking out innovation in new and disgusting ways. It also stars Sydney Chandler, Kyle Chandler's daughter.
Ooh.
Fantastic, like incredible. Because the thing about these, humans in synthetic bodies, they're all kids who are terminally ill. They're all kids who are about to die. They're being put into bodies of adults, essentially, like young, like teenagers, late teenagers, and they all basically have to play as if they are children in adult bodies. And I think they do a really good job of that. And Sydney Chandler, in particular, does a really good job of that. Timothy Oliphant is in this as well as one of the synthetics, and I was a little worried that we're not getting the like Timothy Oliphant charisma in this because he has to be a toned down synthetic, but there's room for that.
I was say, is Timothy Oliphant not playing like a rogue sheriff cowboy type this time?
He is playing a synthetic who is a security officer and is essentially has sort of that vibe, but
Mm.
it's not Timothy Oliphant in Justified where he could be like a bit of a rascal and
Okay, okay.
have a personality. It's not Timothy Oliphant in Deadwood where he could be like he had like more of an attitude. This
Mm.
is a guy who has a personality but is also essentially a robot that has to follow orders in some ways. Fascinating though. Like as always, I think the synthetics and the use of AI in the Alien universe has always been the most interesting stuff. So, Alien Earth, it's premiering soon, August 12th. It's gonna be on Hulu. If you have Disney Plus, click that little Hulu button and you can see it right there. It is very, very good. I also really liked Alien Prometheus, the new movie that came out. Was it this year or last year? But I like that as well. This is more doing different things. This is showing us, first of all, the aliens on Earth. It's showing the Earth like in the future with all these corporations. I think all that is really fantastic. So yeah, I also want to quickly shout out Chief of War, which is the new Jason Momoa show, which is cool, like cooler than I expected it to be. I thought it was just gonna be another big budget Apple TV, prestige TV thing, and it is sort of that, but it's also a historical epic about Hawaii in like the mid 1800s, where the different islands were different kingdoms, basically warring against each other before colonialism like was a thing, before the West came in and started to like take over Hawaii. It's super authentic. It's shot entirely in native Hawaiian. I did not expect that. Like this show goes real hard to the point where also they're using native Hawaiian clothing and costuming, and a lot of that means you're seeing full on Jason Momoa ass because it's just it's essentially G strings for most.
I mean, I think that's part
Yeah,
of the appeal, and
that is part of the appeal. The opening of the show is Jason Momoa on a boat trying to hunt a shark while it's in like jumping into the water to hunt a shark. And listen, that's a great cold open. You got shark fishing with Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa not being afraid to basically go all ass on this while he's shark hunting. Something for everybody in the show. It's also, I think, like the drama of it is really interesting. It's kind of Game of Thronesy. The action is fantastic. Like it goes as hard as something like Braveheart or Gladiator. It feels a lot like Gladiator actually. So highly recommended if you like historical epics, and especially if you want to see something a little different, not just like another European historical epic. This is something unique. So check out Chief of War. That's on Apple TV Plus. Anything you want to shout out, Sam?
yeah. I've just been starting watching Kaiju number 8 season 2 that just came back for its second season. I think there's like 4, maybe 5 episodes in. I'm only like a couple, and it just like it was like really reminded me what I like about the show, and it's like a really good twist on your traditional big monster hunting show.
Mhm.
Obviously it's an anime. And the action is always good, and they didn't waste too much time just like right getting back into the pace of things. So I appreciate that. That said, I did want to ask you, Devindra, if you saw the Predator Badlands trailer, because I think that came out while you were on vacation.
I saw that trailer. I mean, I know the person who directed it and wrote it,
Hmm.
so I feel like I have to reserve my thoughts on all of it.
Okay.
It looks cool as hell. It looks cool as hell. My only reservation is I think it's cool. The thing about Predator that's cool is that it's a cool ninja dude in a mask, right? When you see the Predator's face, I think it's a kind of silly face. I think it's
I
a kind of
I
it's
agree.
something Mama would love, and it's really hard when that is your main character.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's the only thing that could potentially like turn off audiences. But otherwise, like I think Dan Trachtenberg is such a solid action director. Like he knows his shit. And also, have you seen the Predator, the animated stuff, Sam?
No, I
On
haven't.
Hulu? That's really good because it's
Okay.
also him directing like Predator encounters across different time periods, and that's like she using the power of animation. It's like very anime. So that's also worth checking out. I'm looking forward to Predator Badlands, though. That does look good. Have you seen the second season of Dan to Dan yet, Sam?
Yes. Oh, it's
Mhm.
that show is still as good as ever. Enjoying it the hell out of it. But yeah.
So much fun. I don't. The new opening is not as good as the first opening, but
No, the season 1 opening song is like an instant classic, but the show is still just as good.
still just as good. All right. Well, I think we can wrap it, Ben.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me get the text up. So thank you everybody for listening. That's the end of the show. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by me, Ben Ellman. You can find Sam online at
At Sam Rutherford on X or on Blue Sky. Either one works.
you can find Devindra online
At Devindra on Blue Sky, and also podcasts about movies and TV at the Filmcast at thefilmcast.com. Also, check me out on the Escape Hatch podcast because I talked about the Bourne Supremacy there with those guys, Jason and H, like the cool dudes. If you want to hear me talk about why I love the Bourne Supremacy so much, which is one of the best action movies of the last few decades, check that out too.
if you want to suggest some like low stakes sports anime to me, I'm on
Oh,
Blue Sky at
yes.
Hey Billman.
Yes.
Ben, I got so many
We got
recommendations.
so many for you. Yeah.
So email us at podcast@engadget.com, not about low stakes sports anime, but about anything else. Leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. That includes Spotify.
Thanks, folks. We're out. VBag says, I hope you guys are happy. I'm unsubscribing now. I am happy. Thank you.
Well, it
This was
depends
a good
why, I
episode.
guess. But sure.
Sure.
So tell me about this low stakes sports anime and why is it different from that volleyball anime that I've seen a lot of people talk
Okay.
about recently?
The volleyball anime, which is, the name is escaping me right now.
Haikyuu.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
incredible. If you haven't seen it, that's number one place to start. But there's a good baseball anime. It's like
Mhm.
it's like I think it's 4 or 5 seasons. Diamond No Ace is
Diamond
pretty
No
solid if you like baseball. You gotta pick like what sport you want, because depending on that like kind of changes recommendations.
The thing about these sports animes, it makes me care about things I do not care about typically. Like, I don't care about volleyball, but Haikyuu is such a good construction of what team sports are. That's what makes it so compelling. So Haikyuu is the one to check it out. What was the figure skating one? That one was good too.
Are you talking about Yuri on Ice?
Yuri on Ice, classic. That's sports. That's sports anime.
It's okay,
There's-
it's sports,
it's-
but it's also kind
If
of
you want like
LGBT.
a weird pick, there's one called Burning Kabaddi. And Kabaddi is like it might be like an Indian Middle Eastern sport. It's like kind of like
Oh, that's
wrestling,
right.
but tug of
Yeah,
war.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did not even know that this sport existed until the anime came out, which is always weird. But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's something about like you have to hold your breath. And like how
Yes.
can you prove that you were holding your breath?
Right. And then you have to chant Kabaddi while you're doing the sport, depending on what like phase it's like the rules are just like so like weird and esoteric, but like that's kind of what makes it interesting.
Kevin says there's a early 2000s Japanese film called Ping Pong, which is awesome.
I mean, ping pong is like
the animation is a show based on that too. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a ping pong animated movie which is incredible. The art style is like unique. I mean, anyone who likes sports anime, that is like that, and Haikyuu is like the number one place to start.
Yeah.
There's also a live action movie which is actually kind of decent.
Are you gonna say Shaolin Soccer?
No. There's a live action version of ping pong which is
yeah.
Have you seen that, Sam? Because that was like when I was like a budding like alternative cinephile in the early 2000s. That was the thing people talked about, and I imported that DVD from Yes Asia, so I have that movie. That movie doesn't exist. You cannot get a disc. You cannot stream it anywhere. It's so weird.
That's sad because it's actually like just
really
a solid movie. It's very different, but like, you know, a lot of anime adaptations to live action just don't go well. That one actually is pretty good, and because I actually saw that movie before I saw the animated one, I have kind of a soft spot for the live action.
It's the same story, so it's an adaptation of the same thing.
Yep.
If you look it up on IMDb, it's called Ping Pong, but it's Ping Pong. It's the actual by Sori, who has gone on to direct a lot of anime as well. Like it's a very anime ass movie. He went on to do Full Metal Alchemist and all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
If you like soccer, Blue Lock, people have been enjoying. That's a relatively newer one. It's actually batshit insane soccer because it's like a soccer like battle royale type thing where like people get like voted off or like kicked out, and stuff like that. And then there's all the classic ones like Slam Dunk for basketball and
Initial D.
I'm kind of
sports
interested.
Anime.
Initial D because it's car racing. I was actually just talking with someone recently about like they wanted to do a audio documentary project about these kids who like street race in the like mountain hills
That's drifting
above like the Bay Area. And I was like, are any of them into anime? Because I'm pretty sure I know how they got into like mountain drift racing.
That's where
you cannot be a fan of drift racing without being a fan of Initial D. It's not possible.
Not possible at all. But I do want to say, like, Ben, if you're looking for like a single thing to start on, Haikyuu is like the good one, but Ping Pong, the animation, is short. Like, it's a really contained thing. It's really good. The animation style is fantastic.
I'm also kind of interested in an anime called Turkey! Time to strike. It's about bowling.
I've not heard of that one. I would
There,
recommend
there's been
pretty
some
new.
recent
It just
badminton
started.
animes, and there's some golfing animes that are pretty solid.
literally any sport you can think of. Like, there is probably an anime about it. But Hajime no Ippo, which is the boxing one, also fantastic. Also, and if you have Crunchyroll, and I think even some other streaming services, they're on a lot of these things too.
Because I'm just looking for something that doesn't make me too stressed out.
Mm.
And there's so much TV that is important,
Yeah.
but also stressful.
Haikyuu.
I'm talking about industry. I'm talking
Haikyuu is incredibly optimistic and like
Yes.
uplifting, and it makes you feel good. It is like the most like upbeat, positive, you know. So if you're looking for that's the word to start.
Yeah, so after years of watching like live action shows, and even like anime that have like, you know, really significant stakes, Demon Slayer was getting like really stressful. Like, yes,
Don't watch Attack on
the
Titan. That's all stress.
oh no, like the reason that I have never watched Attack on Titan is because it's all stress and it's all
I'm not
a little
fan.
bit like Ender's Game too,
Yeah,
where like
Mm.
all of these kids are pressed into military service, not really understanding that they will
There's
be
some really
scarred for
great
life.
real world parallels once you start to look into it more too. Like,
Oh yeah.
it is not fun. Yeah.
I also have a very very deep soft spot for Prince of Tennis because that's one of like
Prince
the
of Tennis,
original
too.
classic sports animes.
Yeah. Kevin says, point out in the chat, go see the new Naked Gun film, Ben. I should have talked about that. It is fantastic. It is. We have not done spoof movies in a long time, but these folks know how to do it. Like, it's the director of Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, the movie, which I think is
AKA
fantastic.
Akiva
Akiva,
from The Lonely Island.
Lonely Island. So Akiva Schaffer, I hope it does well. I have not looked at the box office for it, but it is a perfect Naked Gun reboot too.
So anybody watching this, if you want to like you know, Blue Sky post at me about sports anime, you can also do like sports flavored things because I would say that Food Wars is not necessarily a sports anime, but it is kind of sports flavored.
It's structured like a tournament anime. So
Yeah, it's a tournament. Like there are head-to-head like cooking competitions. It's just so sad that the quality fell off so much at the last season.
Yeah. Also, did you ever see My Hero Academia? That is
No.
stressful, but also very, very optimistic and hopeful. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is we're running out of time.
Okay.
We got to do other stuff, guys. Thank you for getting sidetracked into my sports anime stuff, but I think we have to say goodbye to everybody. So goodbye to Kevin Says, goodbye to Jason Lee, goodbye to DPro9, the letter Y. Who is it? Weathered Shields, who used to go by the name The Moon, and you know sometimes you need a update to your display name, but I am sad that we don't have The Moon posting in our chat anymore. Muad'Dib,
The Moon. Yeah.
Muad'Dib, I hope that you already foresee that you'll be coming back next week. Mark Dell, of course. Just thank you everybody for welcoming us back to live streams after a little summer break. You remember stuff that we forgot. You make the chat or you make the conversation better and smarter. And we'll see you next week.
Later, folks. Thanks. Bye.